You've most probably been told that rest heals injuries, sore muscles means you will have progress, and that there is this magic cadence you need to run at for optimal running performance and to avoid injuries. But here's the thing, science shows all of these are wrong, and believing these and other common myths I will cover in this video might actually make you slower, weaker and a more injury-prone runner. I'm Göran, a physio, coach and lifelong runner, and today I'm breaking down 5 big myths in running with real research. Rest is always the best cure for injuries. As a physio, I've met so many people saying this, and this is not only casual runners but also elite runners, but maybe most alarmingly, a lot of doctors tell their patients this myth as well. Although the evidence says something completely different. What they say is that when you get injured, whatever the injury is, maybe a sore knee, some tendon pain or something else, complete rest is the smartest route. And make sure you don't run at all. Of course this makes sense in a way. Complete rest will let your body heal, but that is not really how our bodies and structures within it actually work. And this classic study here showed that prolonged rest is often harmful. Tissue structures need some loading. Complete rest leads to a lot of muscle atrophy, loss of strength and a general slower recovery. And one of my favorite studies on this topic is this one here, where they looked at runners with Achilles tendinopathy, a really common running injury, basically pain in your Achilles tendon, and they split them into 2 different groups. One group was told to completely stop running for the first 6 weeks. The other group was actually allowed to keep running, but under a pain monitoring model, meaning only to a tolerable pain level, not pushing into severe pain, but some pain was acceptable. And both groups followed the exact same strengthening rehab program. And the results were really interesting. Both groups improved, and after a year there was actually no difference in the recovery from the injury. In other words, completely stopping running didn't produce any better outcomes in this injury. And here's the key point. When you stop running altogether, you also start losing the strength and resilience in all of the tissues that need to be strong to be able to handle running. And the running specific tendons, muscles and bones adapt to load, and when you remove all of that load for weeks, they quickly get a lot weaker. And that means the risk of a new injury skyrockets once you try to come back after a complete stop from running. But with all of this said, of course there are exceptions. If you got a fracture or a serious acute injury, you do need a full break. But in general, the smarter approach is focusing on rehab and load management and not complete bed rest. You know that feeling of having really sore legs the day after a tough workout? I think most of us runners can relate to that. And it's so easy to think that, yeah, this is good, now I have done something really hard that will lead to a lot of improvement. And many people, including myself in the past, think that this kind of delayed onset muscle soreness is some sort of badge of honor for putting in really hard work. But what does the science actually say about this? This meta-analysis of recovery techniques found that soreness is poorly correlated with actual markers of performance improvement or muscle adaptations in general. So you can improve fitness without being sore. So I would say that that kind of muscle soreness the days after a hard workout actually means that you pushed a bit harder than your body was ready for at the moment. And you could have even greater development over time if you do a little bit less, but get ready to do another good workout sooner. So don't chase this kind of soreness, instead chase consistency. Before we move on to the next running myth that could actually hold you back in your running, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Prungo. And honestly, I used to think that the red light therapy devices like this one sounded like just another running myth. I mean, how could a little device like this really help with running injuries or recovery? But as a physio and coach, I try to follow the evidence and not the hype. And when I started digging into the recent research around red light therapy, I was quite surprised because multiple new studies show that red light therapy can reduce pain and lower inflammation and actually speed up your recovery. In simple terms, red light therapy penetrates the skin with this red light, and this boosts the energy production at cellular level. That extra energy helps the body repair itself faster. And I've been testing it on those little niggles we all get as runners, and my own experience lines up with what the science shows. Less pain and quicker recovery. I like to use it on specific problem areas just before my training or even during the warm-up. For example, this last week after a really tough run I struggled with stiff and painful calf muscles. So I've been using it every other day to improve recovery and get back to good training as soon as possible. And all of us runners, including myself, of course get really stressed from different pain problems and injuries. So it feels so good to be able to do something that actually have evidence supporting it. And I got back to running pain-free way quicker than expected. And this device that I've been using is called Flux Go, and it has this smart modular design with these 3 different small units that you can attach in different ways. So if you want to add one more evidence-based tool to help you stay healthy and running strong, check out the link in the description. And a big thanks to Prungo for supporting my channel and helping us runners train smart with less pain. Cadence is the rate at which your legs move while running, and the most common thing you see when looking for guidance around this topic is that 180 steps per minute is the optimal cadence, and what everybody should aim for, no matter your specific anatomy or the pace you run at. And although this is so widespread, it is a complete myth, and I will explain why. But increasing the cadence might be a good thing for some runners. Because one way to reduce overstriding, meaning you land way ahead of your center of mass that has been seen to be linked with a greater injury risk, is to gently increase your cadence. And there has been some studies like this one showing that when runners gently increase their cadence with 7% from their original cadence, it makes the peak impact load a bit less when landing on your foot. So there might be a point for some runners with specific problems to increase their step rate just a bit. But all this talk about 180 steps per minute being optimal for efficiency and injury prevention is a complete myth. This belief stems from a misinterpretation of research by renowned running coach Jack Daniels. During the 1984 Olympics, he observed that elite distance runners often had cadences of 180 steps per minute or higher when running the track races. But at no point did he suggest that 180 steps per minute is the ideal cadence for everyone. And when he did this observation, it was on the Olympics, meaning he looked at the world's fastest track runners running their absolute fastest, trying to win the Olympics. So basically running at insane paces. And what many discussing this topic seem to overlook is that it is very hard and for most of us unnatural to run at those step rates when running 3 or 4 times slower than those Olympic runners. And believe me, for someone like myself being 190 centimeters tall and jogging at an easy, comfortable pace like I'm doing now, the most unnatural thing I could do is try to force my step rate up to 180. Even now when I'm not overstriding, a step rate that feels natural to me is around 160. The steps per minute actually has to do with your running pace. For example, Usain Bolt's cadence during a 100-meter sprint is 221 steps per minute. But somehow someone took Jack Daniels' observations totally out of context, and I still to this day hear experts claiming that 180 steps per minute is ideal for everyone, and tries to force this upon people that for sure not run at elite track runners' paces or even overstrides in the first place. But with that said, as mentioned, if you tend to overstride, it might be a good thing to work on slightly increasing your cadence. But all changes to your running form should be done gradually, because you will shift the load to different structures in your body. And a big injury risk is doing something new, since all your muscles, joints, bones and tendons need time to adjust to be able to handle that new kind of stimulus. If you haven't been living under a rock, you have most probably seen all kinds of fitness influencers praising ice bath as the next big thing in the last couple of years, and it will lead to great performance boosts. And the common conception here is that if you can, you should, after every hard session, put your legs in cold water or take a cold shower. It reduces soreness, inflammation, and helps you recover faster and help you get better over time. And there is some truth to this, but here's the catch. If you use them too often, they might actually slow down your progress. And this review here that is called Adaptations to Post-Exercise Cold Water Immersions shows that while ice baths can help in short term with reducing soreness, help fatigue, they can actually also impair strength and hypertrophy adaptations when used often, especially after resistance training. So they could actually hinder some training adaptations you could get from the training. Does that mean that you should never take ice baths or cold showers? No, not really, because cooling down your legs can be great in certain situations, like when you're racing multiple days and need a boost in the recovery or tapering for a big race. But as a daily recovery tool after every workout, especially strength for interval sessions, it's probably not a good idea, since it might work so well for recovery that you don't get all of the adaptations you could have got them from that specific training you have put in. So my recommendation is to use this smart and not every single day. This is one of the oldest myths in running, and you still find it almost everywhere. The idea is that static stretching keeps you injury-free and makes you run faster. But the truth is very different. Research has consistently shown that for most runners, general static stretching doesn't prevent injuries and doesn't improve performance either. In fact, if you're not unusually stiff, forcing more flexibility through static stretching can actually increase your risk of injury and even make you less efficient as a runner. I know this one firsthand because I believed in the stretching myth for years, and I spent too much time chasing that kind of flexibility instead of focusing on the things that actually matter for performance and injury prevention. If you want to really understand this stretching topic and what to do and what not to do, I made a whole video about that. So check out that one here. Train smart, have fun, and I will see you in the next video.